So I've got my stencils, I've got my background that I have done with the saran wrap technique. If you didn't have saran wrap, that's okay. You could just have a plain background, but it needs to be a light color of what we're using. So what I'm going to do, I have placed these where I want them on my artwork, but if you'll see, they are overlapping. And one of them is going to be my most prominent one. I want it to be my area of emphasis. And this is the one that I'm going to use my dolphin stencil on. But so this one is the closest to me. This one, these two are on the next level, but you'll see what I'm going to do separately on those. So this one is the closest to me. So I'm going to take these out and I'm going to paint around this, okay? So I'm going to put this right about here. I don't want it like smack dab in the middle. So I'm going to take my watercolor. I do not want to soak this with water, okay? You want to make it darker around the edges so that it will show up, okay? But don't soak it with water because you don't want it to bleed through the paper. That's why you need your stencils to be on the thicker paper that I gave you and not on printer paper. So I'm going to take some blue and I'm going to paint away from my ornament. I'm using blue because I'm trying to use Battery Creek colors. Okay, so you just want to make sure that this is a definite shade difference than what the background is. Let me see what happens if I pick it up. All right, see? You see the shape of it? This is called negative painting. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just feather this out so that it's not completely just all in one area. Okay, so that's my first ornament. Now you want to dry this in between layers. Okay. All right, I think mine is dry enough. You need to wait and make sure that's completely dry. If you have a hair dryer, you can use it on it. So my next ornament was supposed to be, I think, right here, overlapping. Now, when I paint around this one, I do not want to paint over this ornament because I want this one to appear like it's behind it. So I'm going to take my paintbrush. I want to make sure that my little cap is at the top and not crooked. You don't want it like this. You want it like this. Now I'm going to use blue again because I'm trying to stick with Battery Creek colors. And I'm not going to paint over that first ornament. Paint away from your ornament because you don't want to push the paint under it. You want it to go away from it. Be very careful around the ornament, around the one that we're trying not to touch. Now realize that I'm not trying to douse my brush with water because we don't want this to seep through your ornament. Okay, so that's a little messy. So what I'll do is just go in. First I'll take my this. And I'll try to define the edge again. Let's see where that edge is. Where my right here. I can put it back and try to paint around it. if I put a little water right here, it'll smudge up some of those little mishaps. And it's okay if it's a little blurry because we want this one to be the most important ornament. So the further something goes back, the less clarity you have, and that is called aerial perspective. All right, so now I got these really strong lines right here, so I'm just going to feather those out. Now, I've got this ornament that I want right here, okay? And I want to make sure that this is straight up and down and that it's overlapping this one, but I don't want to touch into this ornament, okay? So I'm going to paint around the edges. Now, the reason why it's called negative painting is because we're painting the negative space. Your ornaments are your positive space. And I'm painting away from the ornament so that I'm not pushing paint under it. Okay, so I want to make this a little more defined. Okay, and I don't like how this is just brushy looking up here, so I'm going to brush it out. Now, I want to put just a little bit of a blue wash in here because it's got some green, and I want it to be more blue since we're at Battery Creek. I'm going to put a little bit of an accent line right here so that we'll know where that cap is. More of an edge rather than a line. And I'm going to put a little blue in here too so it could have more of a blue instead of green. All right, blend this out some. Okay. All right, so I want that to dry. Okay. All right, so that's where we are until the next video.